Hello everybody. This is Ash and welcome to another hex casting video. Today I'm going to be showing you a spell that's caused me a lot of grief. Not this is not a spell. Which is a 3x3 mining spell and like a hammer. You can see, if I click here, it goes, it digs down. If I click here, it digs to the side, and on this axis as well. It works on the reverse, and it also works above. You can see. Yeah. So this spell is very long, but and it took me like I think over a day, and like I had to go to the Discord to ask for help on some stuff, and I'm pretty sure someone's already made this before, but I think I did most of the work for this on my own, apart from the structure of the what's it called, the if else statement. But everything else I kind of worked through and figured out on my own, I think. And yeah, I have it in this this focus. You could put it in a spell book if you wanted to. You would just go like, you would read it, and then you could write it. Now if I scroll on page 1, I can name this 3x3 or hammer, and with my CAD I'd be able to cast it and, you know, have other spells on the other pages. You could also put the whole thing in a trinket if you wanted to, so you didn't need to use a second slot. But I feel like this is a bit more convenient. So to explain what is going on with this, and it's a little annoying, you can't really see the titles unless I roll over them. Let me just increase the GUI scale real quick so we can read these a little easier. In fact, let's get some black concrete as well. Okay, so now you can see a little clearer. And if I grab all of these, so the first thing that we're doing is we are grabbing the relative vectors for what just a bunch of positions, right? So we have, if we in fact, if we were to read, if we were to read this with Scribe's Reflection and then use Hermes Gambit, we can see in this focus it just generates a bunch of vectors, relative vectors. So what we're going to do later is we're going to iterate over all of these different vectors and add them to the position of the block we're looking at, and that will get our 8 surrounding blocks. Now in order to choose between whether we're breaking on the ground, on the x-axis or the z-axis or z-axis, we are using this spell right here. So this Right. Yeah. We want to reflect, not right, and then we Hermes Gambit this again. You can see it just says this is our XYZ coordinates being broken up. And it says which block face we're looking at, basically. So if I were to go on the back of this, and I were to read it, and then run it again, you can see it would be -1 because we're on the back side. So that is what we're getting next. Then we are setting up our if-else statement by having our bool, which is our true or false. So basically, what this is going to do is it's going to check this bottom coordinate, right? And it's going to check if this is not 0, it will give true, and if it is 0, it will give false. And then we have our first condition, which is the x-axis breaking. Then we have our second bool, which just grabs the middle number and checks if that is true or false, if that's not equal to 0. Then we have our y-axis breaking, which is would be these blocks, right? And then we have our z-axis breaking, which would be these blocks. I might have my x and z's mixed up, but you know, it's the same thing either way. And then right, this is just an example of a focus where I messed up 2 of the conditions. I got them swapped around. And then all we're doing is we are calling 2 additions of, let's go stack manipulation. Wait, no, it's not stack manipulation, it is logical operators. We are doing this augurs exhalation twice, and that will basically use those bools and decide on which of the conditions, my labeling isn't great, but which of the conditions we are going to be using. So then all we do is we call the statement with Hermes Gambit, right? So that's this, right? This just basically sees a list. Let's say we had a break block here, right? Hermes Gambit just looks at the top pattern, or top list of patterns, and says, do that. Now we couldn't do that because we didn't have a thing to be able to break, but so that's basic how it works. And if we grab this, we can actually see one of the mistakes I made where I got it swapped around. So Y worked fine, but when I went onto this face, it did it backwards. So I just had to swap those statements around when assembling the spell. And I suppose the way I assembled the spell was I just had a bunch of these focuses, and I said, alright, other way around. I was basically saying, hey, I have, you know, let's say I have this, and I'm doing this, and then I'm checking if they're not equal, and I'm just putting that in a list, and then I was saving it, right? And then I would label it, and then I would grab another focus and do another part of it, and then when it came to assemble it, all I would do is I would create an empty list in this focus, and then I would read the empty list, and then I would read the focus with the next part of the spell, and I would use this symbol, which is in list manipulation, but it'll just take all of the first list and put it in the bottom list. So what's that called? That is called combination distillation. So you just go up, and that just puts the second list into the first list. And then, you know, I would grab my next thing and I would read that, and then I would push it into the stack or into the list, and then I would grab my focus with the empty list, which was this one, and then you would save it, and then you could read it and add some more functions or more of these other focuses into it. So that's how I went about assembling this spell. And as you can see, there are a lot of parts, and there are a lot of parts that are easy to get mixed up, which is why it's good to have a way of renaming stuff. I think these conditions were a little funky, because if we read this, yeah, that first, we can see we've actually got the same pattern twice. So you needed to do like 3 lots of this introspection in order to get this, because we needed, because of the way that I was dumping stuff, and I had to nest a bunch of lists and stuff. But we'll see that in the full spell. I have written it in a third-party program, and let me grab it. Whoop, whoop. Okay, I just brought the spells into paint.net. Let's what do I want to do here? I would like to add a layer and just fill it in so we can see. And then let's create another layer on top with red so that we can show what's going on. So all of up to here is just our relative positions, right? This is a zero. These are a constant vectors, right? They are so this describes an x positive vector. This describes an x negative vector, and these are all unit vectors. So they are just, so for instance, this would be 1, 0, 0, and this would be -1, 0, 0, and they would be separated into brackets. This might be confusing if you don't know vectors. And this is a 0 vector, and these are our y vectors. So we have these 5, and then what we're doing is we're combining. So this is x and a positive x, positive y, and then we're using additive distillation to combine them into one vector. So this would become 1, 1, 0, right? And we're just doing this so that we can, I believe, in the most efficient way, get all the vectors for the 8 surrounding blocks, right? For all of these blocks. And getting all of those 8 positions, right? So you could say, right, this would be +1y, this would be -1y, this would be +1x, this would be -1x, and then, you know, plus, minus, right, so we're just getting all 9 of those, including the 0th one for the center, and we are collecting them into a list. So what we've got here, this is how you write 9 in the numbering system for this mod. And then here is a Phlox gambit. What this will do is this will take the number here and then that many items in the stack behind it. So we've got 9, right? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it will collect them all into a list, right? Which is, you know, this data type, and you've got all of your vectors. Yeah. Then what we're doing here is we're grabbing so ourself, our head position, then ourself and our look direction, and then we are using Additive Distillation to combine those into a block face, right? A block face vector. So if we're looking at the top or bottom of a block, it'll be 0, plus, minus 1, 0. That's what this symbol will give us. And then what we're doing here, this is a vector, I don't know, it's the one that breaks it into 3 separate items on the stack. So this will change to 0, 1, 0 in our stack. Then this is just the number 2, and this is a fisherman gambit, I believe, and this will go, it will count down in the stack, right? It'll go, so it'll go 1, because we've got our stack is now these 3 numbers and this list, it will go 1 or 0, 1, 2, and it'll grab this 0, and then we have just the number 0 here, and we're checking, is this not equal to 0, right? So why we want to do this is so that we don't have to check plus and minus 1. We just want to check if it's 0, then we want it to say false. Yes, if it's 0, we want it to say false. So we're checking inequality and matching this number with 0. Then what we've got here is our first argument, or our first option for our else if statement. Sorry, this is really complicated. What we're doing here is we are taking, so what this will do is this is going to break a vector into 3 parts of a stack. Then it will rotate those 3 numbers around each other in a certain direction, and then this will recombine them into a vector, right? So what we do here is we use Phlox recollection to get the number of items in the stack, and then we fish it because this is the last item in the stack, so it'll be the highest number. And we'll grab this list over here, and then what this is Thoth's gambit. This says that for every item in this list, run this. So what it will do is it'll rotate all of these vectors either clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on if you did that or that. I drew it poorly there, but they're the rotation gambit and rotation gambit 2, which is clockwise and counterclockwise rotate. Oh, I mean, it's upwards and downwards rotating. Right, so that will then put this modified list, this rotated list, right here. Then what we've got here is we've got these symbols again, except this is not. So this is architect's distillation, it goes that way. This is archer's distillation, it goes this way. What this does is this will grab the block position, right, the coordinates of the block, and then here we've got just this additive distillation here. So then, so we want this to run on all of these modified items, right? We want to add our relative vectors to the block position we're at, so we can get 9 block positions that are all in the right direction. Then, so to do that, we need this grouping of lists or grouping of patterns to be behind the data set. So we've used a jester's gambit here. All right, it just looks like that, but it's rotated here. You can rotate the symbols in any direction as long as you draw them in the right stroke order. Right, so it could be like that, and that's what's here. Then what we're doing, so that will switch the previous 2 positions in the stack. So that'll move the dataset in front of this list of patterns. And then we're thothing again, and that will run this list of patterns over the dataset. And then we have our break, right? So this is how you do break in another list here with introspection or retrospection. Then we're just doing the same thing. We are flipping it so that the data set that's being generated over here goes in front, and then we're thothing it. Yeah, so, but this is all in a list. So this won't run unless we gem what is it called? Hermes gambit on it. But we'll get to that later. What we've done here is we've grabbed, so this is a 3, right? So 0, 1, times 2, then 1 again, because you're going straight, so that is 3. And we're grabbing the 3rd index in the stack, right? So that will be, so this will be 1 index in the stack, or 0, 0, then this boolean, this false or true, 2, then 3, right? It'll go 0, 1, 2, whatever. It worked. It worked when I did it. So this should, I think, grab the center one of these, right? And then we are just, what we have here is we have the opposite rotation. All right, so this will rotate the other way, but it does the same thing as this phrase up here when it runs. And then over here, we aren't rotating it, we're using the dataset as is, and otherwise it's the same thing again. So how this looks is we've got a boolean, we have a condition, or Now a function, we have another boolean, and then we have another function and another function. And then we have this augurs exhalation here. So what this will do is this will grab these previous two arguments in the stack, and then it will check this boolean. If this boolean is, I believe, I might have this backwards, but I believe if it's true, if the boolean is true, then it will grab this first statement and get rid of this one. If the boolean is false, then it will get rid of this one and keep this other one, right? So then after that first one is run, we'll have one of these, and it'll also get rid of this. So we'll have one of these, and then this statement. Now when the second one runs, it will say, hey, it'll check this one and this one with this boolean, right? This true or false. And that will give us our final statement, right? It'll say, oh, okay, we don't want this one anymore. We want to use this one. Okay, and then what we've got here is we have a, I believe it's bookkeeper's gambit. So this is going to get rid of, it's going to keep the first thing in the stack, get rid of the second, third, and fourth, and then keep the fifth thing in the stack. And that is just to get rid of, where is it? Get rid of these from the stack because they're going to get in the way of our function running, right? It will, the Thoth, or no, the Hermes will, something in here will try to run the break spell on this, on one of these pieces of data, and I didn't figure out how to fix that, so I figured, okay, let's just delete it with bookkeeper's gambit. And then what it does is this will initialize the statement, right? It'll break it out of its brackets, right? So it'll get rid of these brackets on whatever it's running on. So then it will run like normal when we, so, and this is all in our focus. All of this is in our focus. And then in our trinket, we just have a read what's in the focus or the spell book, and then play it, right? Using another Hermes gambit. Okay, that was like a 30-minute explanation. But that's how it works. Okay, now to talk a bit about this website. So this is the website where I used to help build the thing. Not entirely in here. I did it partly in game, partly with this software. This is just a tool called Hex Studio, and it lets you, you know, use symbols or iotas and stuff, and build your spells, right? And you can also move spells around like that, and you can get rid of spell or get rid of different symbols, and then you can also export them and save them. If you export patterns, then you get a spell file like this, and in fact, if I click it again, it gives you this, right? It says it's a list of all of the symbols in here, as well as these are your introspections and retrospections. which are your brackets or casings for statements. And you can import this into this Hex Studio to see all the symbols in order. And it also has this /give command, which you can use to import the spell straight into the game. Now, for spells this large, you can't actually, or I can't, I'm sure there's a way, but I can't actually put this because it's too long to fit into the command line in Minecraft, because there's just too many parts, right? But this, it is good. Oops, no, that's not what I meant. It is good because it lets you read all of these out, and I think there might also be some other third-party programs that let you import these spells so that you don't have to build them. But here, I will be posting at least this section, right, into here. Let me copy it. I'll be posting this section in the description. And if you were to, duplicate this, and then go import patterns, you can just paste them here, click import, and zoom out a bit, and you can see the whole spell here, and more easily do that and export it and stuff yourself. So yeah, it's a very very cool spell, but it is extremely complicated to build, but I think that's part of the fun, right? And who doesn't want a hammer for modded Minecraft? This one just, it takes like, I don't know, 20 hours of R&D and then like 1 hour of putting it together. So yeah, I think we're running a bit long. If you have any questions in the comment, I'll try to answer them. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.